Hi everyone, this is Miss S from Excelsior Charter School, and today we're going to be covering Geometry, Lesson 4-4, on using congruent triangles and CP/CTC. And that's actually the only vocabulary word we have for today, and what it means is that corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. C, P, C, T, C. So what that really means is that once two triangles are proven to be congruent, then the three pairs of sides that correspond are all congruent, and the three pairs of angles that correspond are also congruent. So you'll normally find CP/CTC at the end of a proof to show that two angles or two sides are congruent. So you'll work through the proof to prove the triangle's congruent, and then you can prove that any of the corresponding parts are congruent as well. So let's go ahead and do some of the work from the lesson and the practice. So this one actually comes from the lesson. It says, given that angle Q is congruent to angle R, so here and here, and that angle QPS is congruent to RSP, so here and here, they want you to prove that line SQ over here is congruent to line PR over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to prove that the triangles are congruent first. So angle Q and angle R are congruent because that's given. And the second part that's given is that angle QPS is congruent to angle RSP. And yes, you do have to write all that out into the box there. So we also know that line PS is congruent to line PS here because it's part of both triangles. And the reason for that is because of the reflexive property of congruence. So now we can see that for each of the triangles, I have two angles and one side. I have the angle here and the angle here and the side here for the left-hand triangle. Notice the side is not in between R and S, so it can't be angle, side, angle. But since we have two angles and a non-inclusive side, we actually have angle, angle, side. And then because we've proven that the two triangles are congruent by angle, angle, side, we can prove all of the corresponding parts are congruent by CP/CTC. And that's how you answer. All right, this next one comes from your practice, and it says that given that angle ABD is congruent to angle CBD, and angle BDA is congruent to angle BDC, they want us to prove that side AB is congruent to side CB. So we'll just mark our stuff in here. So this angle is congruent to this angle, and this angle here is congruent to this angle there. And all of that information has been given to us. We can also prove that this side, BD, is congruent to itself because of the reflexive property. So if you notice, we have an angle, and then we have a side, and then we have an angle for both of those triangles. An angle, a side, and then an angle. So we have those triangles congruent by angle, side, angle. And once we have the triangles congruent by any means, in this case, angle, side, angle, we can use CP/CTC. Forgot a C in there, to prove all the corresponding parts are congruent. So the answer is ASA and CP/CTC. And a little further down on your practice, we find this one. It says, given that KL is perpendicular to PQ, so remember what perpendicular means. It means it makes right angles. So this is a right angle, and so is this. And KL bisects angle PKQ. Remember what it means to bisect. It means to cut it into two equal pieces. So the left side of that angle and the right side of that angle are congruent. And they want us to prove that angle P is congruent to angle Q. So we'll start with step 1 and 2 here. It says angle PLK and angle QLK are congruent because of the bisector of KL. Notice nothing said about the bisector of KL, or they're congruent because all right angles are congruent. And step 2 is the right answer there. Step 3 here says that KL is congruent to KL because of the reflexive property, and that is true. It is common to both of the triangles on the left and the right-hand side. So that is also a true statement. So 4 and 5 here say the same thing for different reasons, so let's see which one it is. So PKL, angle PKL, and angle QKL are congruent because the definition of an angle bisector, or because of the reflexive property. And the answer for that one is because of the definition of an angle bisector. Angle 6 and step 6 and 7 say the same thing but for different reasons. One says ASA and one says AAS. So both of them have two angles and a side, but if you notice, our reflexive side here is between the angles. So it goes green, yellow, blue for both. Green, yellow, blue. So our correct answer here is that is angle, side, angle. And then step 8 puts the angles congruent because of CP/CTC, which is also true. So the correct answer should be 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. And our last one for today is the last question on the practice here. It says the proof is incorrect, and they want us to find the error. So it's given that angle A is congruent to angle C. It's given that BD bisects ABC. So angle 1 and angle 2 are correct. Number 3 says that angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent because of definition of a bisector. That's true. And then it says AD and CD are congruent because of a definition of a bisector. Well, that doesn't make any sense because they bisected an angle, not a side. So we're going to come back to this one and look at that one again. Then it has the triangles being congruent because of angle, angle, side. They did miss out that BD is reflexive to BD. But the statement that is wrong here is definitely number 4. I hope this helps you guys. Good luck. Have a great day.